Hello and welcome back to another fantastic issue of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows. We interview some really amazing people once in a while, and thanks for hanging out with us. If you've stumbled upon us, thank you. We are Hops Geek News. You can find us by searching Hops News on all of your favorite platforms, including YouTube. And if you are a returning customer, then remember, you are my number one customer. Thanks for coming back, hanging out with us. This episode today, we've got Steve Urana. He is the creator of Zombie
Urena.
Urana. Oh God, Steve, I'm
You'll
sorry.
find out in a little bit because he'll
Look,
say it
Steve, I'm
himself.
sorry. He even said how to pronounce it, so I apologize for butchering it. That's on my next. We messed up, but no, he created Zombie Date Night and also Slowpoke, a comic book about killer sloths that actually go fast. So really great episode ahead. We're gonna dive into some news, but first, what are we drinking tonight? And we're drinking the same beer. Same beer. We are drinking The Brewer Who Laughs by Aslan Beer Company and Burnish Beer Company, straight from Alexandria, Virginia, and Herndon, Virginia. It says, keep cold, drink fresh, store at 35 to 45 degrees, recycle with a big smile. Because if you saw, maybe hopefully this episode makes it up on YouTube because once in a while my computer decides not to upload things. This is a Joker themed can. It's got, the comic book style, it panels, and it's got just a bunch of laughing all over it. And it's a really cool can. Awesome can. This is actually the first beer I've had since the 4th of July. So
Not me. This is my second beer
delicious.
tonight.
Tastes good. I broke the fast. I
But
broke the
thank you
fast
to
just for this episode.
Micah from Tavern Geek, who you've seen on our Wolverine episodes, on our Black Widow episode, on our X-Men episode. He is the one, I believe, that hooked us up with this super sweet beer. It's really good. It's like a hazy New England, but it's also on like I know that dank word is very douchey, but it is on that little bit of like the
Whoa,
dank
look at this
side.
haze, bro. Using dank, man.
Hey, I am a haze bro. I'm not gonna lie. I love my haze, but I also love a little bit of dankness here and there. Like I love the 420 beers. It's funny because I don't like smoking weed, but I love the smell and I love the taste in beer.
One day I'm gonna
But
be able to eat a brownie. Just eat a
you
brownie and
know, I've
watch
never done an
Sharknado and
edible.
cartoons. They're great. They are. I wouldn't know, of course, but I've heard that they are great.
Yeah. But I do have a beer that I'm not drinking tonight, but I will definitely be posting. So after we recorded with Steve, I was at GB Bottle Shop in Orlando. If you're ever in the area, it's walking distance to Ivanhoe Brewing and
It's a great
1010
spot too. We
Brewing.
went there when we was in
Yes.
Orlando. Great spot.
Great bottle shop. They got great beer on tap as well. But I bought this $10 16-ounce can because it has a sloth on it and it's called Stellar Sloth.
What? That's so dope.
And so it's from Ology Brewing, which is in Tallahassee, and it's an imperial milk stout with cookies and natural flavors, whatever natural flavors are. But it's 11%. So I
Sloth's
contemplated
blood of his enemies.
like downing my beer on Hops News and then drinking this and then doing the brewer who laughs. But I decided that was a terrible life choice, and I'm too old for decisions like
Good lord, man, get it
that.
together over there.
I will be drinking this next week and 100% post it on Instagram when this episode comes out
Yeah.
because it's a freaking sloth. And Ology Brewing is a really good brewery. And I do love a good imperial milk stout. And I don't give a shit if it's July in Florida because we drink dark beers all
Look,
year.
it's always a good time for pastry stouts, regular stouts, and I'd pay $10 for that can too. I'd be honest, just for the
Damn
can
straight.
alone. But
And one day I'll do something with all these beautiful labels.
yeah, I kind of was slap them on my fridge there for a bit, but I feel like there's something else I can do with them. Who
Oh, and I should
knows?
say I'm drinking my. I guess I'll wait till we get to what have we read or watched. So
Yes, yes. What did you mess up on? Because I'm perfect,
actually,
and everybody
these
knows
aren't
it.
really mess ups. These are more clarifications. So I didn't listen to our Black Widow episode right away. So once I did, there were things that I wanted to clarify on. So Whiplash, we had talked about him. So there is, and I had mentioned, I had heard he was completely created for Iron Man 2 and that he was not actually a comic book character.
Mm-hmm.
So there is more than one character in Marvel Comics that has been named Whiplash, but they were not Anton Vanko until right before Iron Man 2 came out. However, Whiplash does tend to be an Iron Man villain. And so Kevin from Hops
Oh,
and Heroes actually pointed out that Ivan Vanko, Anton's dad, is in the comics. So I'm guessing that they, got creative and
right.
were like, okay, this is going to be his son, but we're going to name him Whiplash, who is a common Iron Man villain.
Oh, well,
Um,
Shoot.
What was actually extra interesting when I did look that up is one of the comics where there is a villain named Whiplash. It was in Big Hero 6 and
That's at the
Thunderbolts and
Marvel. That's the
Tales of
Marvel. It's a Disney,
Suspense.
Big
Right,
Hero
but a lot of
6.
people don't realize that that is. But Stan Lee's the one dude's dad.
Yeah.
So we talked about that Black Widow one time lifted the Mjolnir. And I think you guys had said, well, when was that? Well, this is kind of cheating. It was in a what if episode. So, or in a what if issue. So in during Ragnarok, Thor died and she was able to lift the hammer in a what if issue.
Got you. Oh, I
Best
mean,
movie
still kind
ever?
of counts, I guess.
Yeah, it does. But I don't know. I guess I have to be a little more open to what if since we're about to get the animated series in August.
Ooh, I will have to speak about that in a second.
I said Con Air is the best movie ever. What movie is that from? How to Make Friends and Alienate People.
Never seen that.
It's pretty good. It has Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg, a very underrated guy. Him and Nick Frost make really great movies.
He is underrated. And then my other thing I had mentioned that Cap had or Black Widow had bashed Sharknado. So what actually happened is in volume 2 of Sam Wilson, Not My Captain America, Steve was going to see Natasha at a ballet, but he was telling her he didn't like ballet because he saw the Nutcracker once and was bored. And she then said, that's like seeing Sharknado and saying all movies are a waste of time. So it was Black Widow that did
Mm,
bash
mm.
Sharknado.
Oh, I actually do have a We Messed Up, but that's
Oh,
just the editing piece from last week. If for some reason, I'm gonna speak. If you heard on Apple, apparently Apple didn't get fixed. There was a long silence there for a couple of minutes where you hear my daughter scream bloody murder. That was because she didn't want to go to bed. And when you're 2 years old, life is tough. So that was it was edited out, fixed all over the other platforms, but Apple sucks. So, yeah, sorry. I guess that's kind of what I messed up on. But if you catch
and
something that
next
we missed,
time that happens, I'm just going to talk about how
she's
great
gonna
Batman
talk
versus
about how
Superman is.
awful Supernatural is because she doesn't do anything else in her life, and
Ugh,
how she needs to just hurry up and get her tickets to FanX Comic Con Salt Lake City.
that's what I'm going to do next time where there's a break and I don't know if it's going to fix. I'm going to talk about Supernatural. I like that
There
better
you
than
go.
bashing Batman
All
versus
right, see, look
Superman.
at that common ground, everybody. We did it. But speaking of Supernatural, as I'm sure you have watched that this week, what else have you read or watched this week?
Say I watched that today.
Me
Loki,
too. Well,
obviously, the last episode.
mm.
But before we get into Loki a little bit, I did watch Long Halloween Part One, and I saw the post credit scene. So there is a post credit scene, which is the best part of it because obviously it's setting it up for Part Two, and
Comes
that
out
is why
next
I'm
week.
yes, and that's why I'm drinking my beer. Dug up high into the shelves and cleaned my pumpkin glass.
It's a beautiful sight. Pumpkin glass. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for Halloween.
I know
Choo
drinking it
choo.
in July is a bit of a tease. But no, Long Halloween was really good. Somebody commented on Twitter like I expected to just hear Dean Winchester, and I didn't. Jensen Ackles sounded like Batman.
I
Uh,
forgot he was even playing Batman until you mentioned it again. I was like, oh my God, you're totally right. I 100% forgot.
he's a man of many talents. It's why he's on my list. It's why he's my list. But no,
That's
you got
it.
a lot
That's
of
the
famous
list.
people, and we got to pour one out for Selena Kyle. She was from Glee, and she passed away this past year, saving her son's life apparently. So kudos to her. Everybody sounded great except for what is up with Two Face's wife.
Yo, she was like really weirdly depressed. And I own this book, actually. I have to go and find it. I don't remember if I have to reread it because I don't really remember her being so weird and
I know
all
there's some
that.
stuff
And
with she can't get pregnant. I don't know if it all stems from that. I don't know if they lost a child or something, but she's very,
I
very
don't think they ever
depressed, and I
touch
don't
upon it, to be
understand
honest.
why.
I don't know either. I have to go back and read it and I'll add it in next week because I don't remember why she is. And I don't think it's even in the comic, but
Well, then it
like
might
I
come
said,
to
I'm
light
going to
in
go back and
part
reread it.
two. That because obviously they left it on a very big cliffhanger, actually.
Oh, yeah, they did.
But no, it was good. I enjoyed it, and I did though. I had looked it up before and said it was $2 on Prime. I paid $5 for that shit
Ooh,
to rent
I
it for
have
48
methods to
hours.
where I saw it. I own it. I
Well,
own it.
methods
I
for me
bought it.
require waiting, so I'd
I
rather
didn't
just
buy
buy
it,
it.
but I own it. So,
All right. Did I read anything else or watch anything else? Oh, Shark Week.
oh, Shark Week. Yes. So Shark Week has been kind of lacking the last couple of years, but there's some things like this year I kind of enjoyed William Shatner's, even though that man is 90 years old, he's still flying around getting down in that water with sharks. I'm like, my dude, you're about to have a heart attack just breathing right now. But he looks good still. He doesn't look like he's 90.
No, he does look good.
And tonight, July 14th, there's a Sharknado. They're actually appearing on Shark Week. There's a Sharknado episode of Shark Week. So
Didn't even know
yeah,
that.
that's going on right now. So I can't wait to rewatch that because that's gonna be pretty sweet.
Nice. Well, and what they're doing this year that they I don't think they've done in the past is we're doing the free trial of Discovery Plus. So there's different episodes on that versus if you're watching it live on cable. So last night, like I missed the Brad Paisley one, which I'm a
Oh
big
darn.
country music fan. I love Brad Paisley puts on a hell of a
Shucks.
concert.
I missed Country Jaws with Brad
So
Paisley, brother.
I will be
We
watching
are riding
watching that.
Jaws with my big American flag, go on my way to get
Hey,
my girl in her dirt road jeans.
don't take the girl. No, I love beach country. But the ones on Discovery Plus are seem to be a little bit more scientific. I watched one yesterday that had me like on the verge of tears. It was so sad about what is
I need
happening
to
to sharks.
I've been watching on
Um,
cable. Like I have a few channels and Disney's or Discovery's one of them. So I'm a fool. I've been watching on cable this whole time. I
well, I
could have just
recommend
free
both.
trialed the app. Damn.
Well, I think the cable one is more fun. That's where Shatner is. That's where Brad Paisley is. That's where Tiffany Haddish is. But I think the ones on Discovery Plus seem to be a little bit more scientific because Shark Week has gotten shit for not being super
Well, that's
scientific
what I
and
want
like,
is the scientific aspect.
yeah, marine biologists have come out and been like, "What are you doing?" When they did those mockumentaries on like megalodon and
Yeah.
mermaids, oh my god, that mermaid one was so freaking creepy. Like they got a lot of backlash, so they're trying to get a little bit more scientific, but also it is entertainment. I could do a whole episode on Shark Week. We should move along. I
Yeah.
love
No,
sharks.
you're right. You're right. What else? So Loki, was that kind of it?
Yeah, other than my supernatural stuff,
Oh.
that's pretty much all
I
I
feel like
watched.
I've read and watched a lot. I actually had a couple downtime, so I've read a lot of comics. So I caught up on my Darth Vader issue 13. I X-Men Legends number 4, Rangers of the Divide, which we have a review out. Go on our YouTube. We have the Rangers of the Divide issues 1 through 3 review. Seriously, pick up that comic. X-Men issue 1, and I watched Fear Street Part 1 and 2. I've been rewatching
Josh was
Dragon Ball
watching
Z.
that. How's
Uh,
Fear Street?
Fear Street's it's actually really good. I just want to preface this by my wife wants to watch it, and so if she listens to this and we hadn't watched it yet, I apologize. But I was off the other day, and so I kind of watched both. Well, I had been trying to watch it. In my defense, I had been trying to watch it, but she's
Oh,
like,
that's so funny.
"No, I don't want this right now." And I'm like, "God damn, I just want to watch this because like I love R.L. Stein and I love Fear Street." So I'm like, "All right, fine. I'm gonna watch it on Monday." And so I did. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get yelled at. Just
I read all the books when I was little. I loved those books.
I did. I apologize. Hey, I still love you. You're still amazing. And I
I'm
just want you to
messaging
know
her
when you're
right now.
listening to this on the way to your parents' house because you're going there, just remember I love you. And when you come back, I still love you. Just love me, please. Um, I'll rewatch it. She doesn't like watching things with like rewatching things that I've already seen, but I love rewatching stuff. So to me, I want to rewatch these to catch things I didn't the first time because I'm also an old man and I'm snoozing off a little bit, but neither here nor there. We've been binging Rick and Morty together, and we've been watching Loki, and of course, we got Black Widow on Disney Plus, which
Oh, I watched Black Widow.
yeah, we watched Black Widow. Both of us watched Black Widow. So
I'm thinking,
spoilers,
I feel like I'm missing
spoilers,
something.
spoilers. Let's talk about Black Widow and let's talk about Loki for a second. So
Okay, so what we'll do though with
spoiler
that
alert.
though, because they're still new, spoiler alert, if you want to skip this section and start when we meet with Steve
We'll
Urena,
timestamp.
yes, we'll timestamp it. So wherever you're listening to, go to the description, it'll tell you what to jump to.
Yes.
Okay,
So
let's go.
spoilers. Peace out. 3, 2, 1. First things first. Loki. So, wow, shit hit the fan in Loki. We got Kang. Kang the
Yes.
Conqueror has arrived. I
But we
haven't.
found that out pretty early in the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched. I've got it spoiled for me. I haven't watched it yet. So
Oh, you're in big trouble.
I've had it spoiled for me. Well, Twitter's a minefield. Twitter is a minefield. So I kind of saw the spoilers, things of that nature. But Kang has arrived, and Sylvie kills this version of Kang. He who remains is what he's called. And so now it's just a shit show. This is the multiverse of madness. Like the multiverse wars, what they did there is they put that spin on it. And so now we're getting the multiverse wars, which leads us to there will be a Loki season 2. And I
That
thought,
was I was
yeah,
angry, and then I was like, "What the fuck?"
well, I
And
was angry
then yeah,
because at the end, spoiler again, is Morbius, Morbius, uh, Mo,
Mobius,
Mobius. I'm thinking Morbius is from Spider Man. My bad. Mobius doesn't even recognize Loki. He's like, "Who are
because
you, an
it's another
analyst?"
universe.
Yeah. And so now everything is just gone crazy. Poor Doctor Strange is gonna wake up and be like, "Guys, I was on vacation for like a day, and now shit has hit the fan." So we're getting like all sorts of variants of Kang because this version of Kang, He Who Remains, was kind of like the TVA weren't bad guys at
Hmm.
all. He was
Well,
protecting everybody.
I also remember reading a comic where Kang came to fight the Avengers, and all the Avengers are like, "We're gonna go get him," and but then Kang he did like what they did in Doctor Who, where all of like multiple different kings from different times went to the same spot because he can time travel, and then they were all
Yeah,
fighting the
so
same
Fantastic
king from the same
Four and
universe.
Doctor Strange
So,
went back in time at one point and fought. Yeah, and
well, and King is a what the great grandson of Richard Reed Richards.
something like that. I can't fully remember.
So
We'll
they
fix
are
that for next week.
related.
But yeah, so this was a good version of Kang who set up the TVA, and now the TVA got destroyed, and now this Kang was killed, and so now all the Kangs are kind of going to come for that glory, the conqueror, so to speak, and not all. And so we have the multiverse wars. This is probably going to be the overarching theme for the next 10 years, perhaps. Maybe not 10 years, but
Well,
we're
so they're saying this is our new Thanos.
yeah. And so Secret Wars, man, we're getting it all, and things are about to get really freaking trippy, like
I need
really
to read
trippy.
Secret Wars. And yeah,
Oh,
we'll do a good origin episode on Kang.
oh yeah, we're
But
gonna do an Orden on Kang for sure.
I really didn't think we were going to see him till Ant-Man. So I
I
know
thought we
that
were
there
gonna
was
get a post
theories,
credit scene of him, is what I thought.
but after everybody was so hell-bent on Mephisto, I was like there's no way Kang's showing up here. But I felt like at the end of Loki cuz when he was sitting there before he ran to Mobius, I was like I was ready to pause it and see how much time was left. I'm like there's no way they're ending it like this. There's no way
Well, it
they're
was a
doing this to
shorter
us.
episode though. It was only 38 minutes compared to the 41, 42, 43 minutes. So
I thought it was 40 something or maybe that
no,
just wasn't
I
including
mean
credits.
without credits, the episode
Okay.
was 38 and change.
But
And
then when they did the stamp and said Loki too, because you know they do that, like Captain America will
yeah,
return in Avengers.
you didn't
I
get
feel like my daughter
Natasha's
and
returning, and
I know, I kept, it was funny at the end of Black Widow. I was expecting them to be like, Natasha Romanoff will not
well,
return.
I mean, who knows? Now that we got a multiverse of madness,
That
she could
is
make an
true.
appearance. Captain America, Iron Man. I mean, they could work out deals. Who knows?
That is very true. I heard she's pregnant again. I don't know if that's true.
She might
Not that
be.
that
I
changes
don't know.
anything in
No,
her in
no.
the multiverse, whatever.
But she might appear. Who knows? So the overall, very. This was my favorite Marvel show they put out, and I do
I'm going
wonder
with WandaVision.
now that the multiverse has kind of blown up. It does. What if we all thought it was going to be kind of like disconnected from the MCU, but what if now that the multiverse has exploded,
Right.
is this kind of going to take us on a ride through that multiverse, like a bunch of what if scenarios because of what happened in Loki?
Now that we don't have King controlling it
That's
very
what I'm
well.
saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. So let's go a little to Black Widow.
Yes.
So
So Black Widow, you saw it in the theaters, 4DX. How was it? Well, how was your experience?
my experience was great. I was my first time ever doing 4D. I had a full beer and I spilled a bunch of it on myself because you should not have a full beer if you're going to the movies and it's 4D. Until my beer was about halfway down, I had like, I think like a 22. I was like, yeah, fill it up. It's a 2.5 hour movie. And I always pee right before. Um, I think Endgame, I was like terrified to get a beer, but I still did because I was like, I can't leave the theater for over 3 hours. But I had to hold my beer like out anytime there was an action scene, just because it
You're
was
just like
just
rolling in your seat. And you're like, oh.
well, and I had never done it before, so I didn't realize like the wind's howling and like there's things that are like punching you in the back. Like it's literally like you're on every
Come
fight
out
scene
with
is like you're on
bruises.
Star Tours.
Well, to be
It
fair,
was
you probably come out
amazing.
with more bruises than Scarlett Johansson ever had at any point in this
Right.
movie because she just survived car crashes and being thrown off a bridge and just walked away like it was nothing.
But she does have a little bit of the super soldier serum, which had never been confirmed before in the MCU, and it has been confirmed
Wait, they
now.
confirmed it?
They did confirm it, and I feel like I do want to rewatch it. My husband hasn't watched it
I
yet,
need
so
to
we'll probably
rewatch
end up
it.
doing it Disney Plus. when Yelena was making the comment about, for every girl like us that survives, 10 don't. And it seemed like because they were getting a smaller, maybe I'm confusing the comic book
I
origin. This
don't
could be on a We
think they
Fucked Up.
confirmed it because
I thought they
I don't
confirmed
know.
that they get a small dosage of it.
I don't think they ever did. I don't know. Now I need to rewatch it. I was gonna go see it Monday in 40X, but I was like, nah, I got it on Disney Plus. Like, I don't want to spend the money, and it wasn't.
I wonder if I'm
I
confusing
thought it was a
comic book
middle of
origin
the
now.
road movie, but we'll have
Clearly,
to talk
Red
about that.
Guardian did, though.
He did, and I'm kind of sad that he didn't get more of his moment to shine because I wonder if it was propaganda, him fighting Captain America, or what the deal with that was. But
Well, they even said they're like he was on ice until this time. Like, there's no way
yeah,
you could have done that. But
but did
I
Captain
think he might
America
come
get
back.
out and do some things and stuff when he went back in time with Peggy?
Oh
That was kind of my thought because he went back to the 80s, so maybe or something like that. But
no, he went further back than the
that's true. I
'80s
don't know. I don't,
because
maybe
she
Captain
was an
America was
old
doing
woman in
extracurriculars,
Ant Man. Remember
or
when Peggy was an Ant?
maybe no, this wouldn't have made sense. He wouldn't have fought the guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier. So maybe it was propaganda. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just I don't know. I do need to go back and rewatch it. Um, I forgot what I was going to
It
say.
was it
Oh,
was a very middle of the road movie for me. I'll
I
be
do
honest.
think he's coming back. I did not like the
Already?
end credit scene, and I wonder if I would have. I think I would have liked it if it came out before Falcon and Winter
Mm,
Soldier, because when Elaine Bennis or Julia Louise Dreyfus showed up, I got
Madam
so
Hydra.
excited. Yes, when I
Yeah.
saw
So
her.
I think she's gonna take over as Thunderbolt Ross of like she's either making the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts.
Okay,
Clearly,
do you think maybe where did I hear this? Oblivion
it
Bar or
was
maybe
Oblivion
something
Bar. They're
else?
they're asking if General Ross might become the Red Hulk.
Because he does look way too skinny.
He
And I
did. He
thought,
did. He looks
damn, he looks
sickly.
old.
Yeah.
And then Black Widow called him out. And yeah, okay, so they're the ones that had that theory
Yeah.
that,
They mention it, and I also yeah they did. They did.
but again, like he was an older dude in the first,
He's been
Iron Man or
around
Hulk or whatever.
forever. He was
Yeah.
in the Incredible Hulk movie. Like we don't get Betty Ross at all, but we get
I know.
General. It sucks. Where the
Where's
frick
his
is Betty,
daughter?
man? I want Betty. Like god dang.
Oh,
Uh,
poor Liv
but
Tyler.
I will say
She's
I
like, I'm
did.
still here.
The thing I didn't like is that Black Widow Natasha, she's been around since Iron Man 2, but she didn't get a proper funeral. Like they just show her gravestone and you have like this solemn moment for 2 seconds and then they ruin it with a loud blowing of the nose. And like you don't really like Tony Stark gets a proper funeral. Like you get time to mourn him, but
Right.
you get like 2 seconds in Endgame and then you get like 2 seconds again at the end of this movie and they just kind of brush past it, which kind of sucks.
I didn't like that in Endgame either because they
Yeah,
mentioned Natasha and Vision at the
yeah,
funeral. And
and
yeah.
they just get like passing glances, especially Natasha, who's been around for as long as she has. It
Hmm.
kind of sucks that she got kind of just pushed to the wayside. And obviously, we know Ike is the reason why this movie wasn't made sooner. And he's
Right.
a
I
piece
did
of
not know any of
trash.
that until recently.
Oh yeah, like he's such a trash human being. He's the reason why we didn't get a lot of great projects. But I'm not gonna go dive into that because I
I
don't want
thought
to
they
drone on
So
forever.
there were parts in Black Widow. I thought it was a good combination of, action, storytelling, because they did, we have a better idea now of what happened in Budapest. And, they did tell us some stuff and
They'll
it
probably
was
give us the rest of that. You think in Hawkeye, since Yelena's going to be
maybe.
going after Clint?
Well, okay, so I have something to say about that too. But before I get to that, there were parts in Black Widow that I was like, this is a little too, sentimental. And it was like, that's because they're saying goodbye to her. That's because this is her
Yeah.
wrapping up story. We know that she's dead. We know she's gone. And when she had the blonde hair and she's saying goodbye, it's like, that's the last time you're going to see her alive in the MCU. Maybe,
Yeah.
who knows? It's the MCU. She's not Ben Parker.
Nobody's ever dead.
But I didn't like the post credit scene. For one, like I said before, I would have been more excited if I hadn't seen her before because I think Julia Louis Dreyfus is going to be amazing. I
Oh,
fucking love
yeah.
her.
Without a doubt.
She's so amazing. And I would love to see her if Coulson were to come back because they actually
Oh, yeah.
played um what was it? The I can't remember the name of the show. Something about Christine. Coulson's her ex-husband in a TV sitcom.
Oh, I didn't. I know what you're talking about, but I never really watched it. I remember it as a kid. It was playing.
As a kid, it's not that old.
It's not from like the early 2000s.
Yeah, I guess it
Well,
is from the early 2000s.
I was a teenager. I
I
grad.
was a mom in the early 2000s. Okay.
Anyways, yeah, I know what you're
So,
talking about, and
okay.
we're led to believe like Yelena's really gonna think that Clint was responsible for
Right.
her dying.
Right.
Like, how does she know
Yelena's
what happened
smart.
to Vormir anyways?
Exactly. Yelena's smart. She's going to do her research. I don't see her blindly just listening to Madam Hydra, which, she may or may not be technically Madam Hydra, but
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Okay.
I don't
All
know.
right.
I took issue with that too. Like, okay, Clint Barton, you're gonna blame him? Like, come on. She's got to be smarter than that. She knew Clint and Natasha were like super close,
Right.
and
She
so
even says, like, oh, we spent 2 days or 3 days up here,
yeah.
together,
Spend
and they were
five
playing tic
seconds.
tac toe.
Go to the damn Avengers compound. Talk to like any of the. Go talk to Falk. Go talk to any of them. They'll tell you
Right.
straight up. Like, go talk to Don Cheadle. Rhodey. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of the action sequences were decent. I didn't like that Taskmaster was just kind of like there. Hopefully we get a better Taskmaster, like the same. I loved Olga. She's a great actress and she didn't really do much in this movie, but I kind of hope they bring her back for future projects as Taskmaster.
I
A
think they
lot of people
will.
were upset. I think they will too. They just very generic. They could have just replaced Taskmaster with
Hmm.
like any random person. But Dracoff was a really good villain. He was somebody you really wanted to hate.
Hmm.
How did the Avengers never know that he was up in the sky with that giant floating with all the Stark satellites? You're telling me like they couldn't see the Red Room with
How
all
did
the.
anybody not know that
That's
that
what I'm
flies
saying. Like that was
planes or
another issue,
anything?
but overall 7.5 for me. It's not in my top 10 for Marvel movies that I've watched, but it's also not bottom. It's like right there in the middle out of the 24.
I
So
agree. I
that's just how it
100%
was.
agree.
Came and went. So that was kind of like our review for the last two things. And let's quickly break down some news real quick so we can get to our main topic. Obviously, we said Loki season 2 is coming. But what won't be coming is Nicolas Cage is not going to be playing Joe Exotic. Amazon has decided not to move forward with their Tiger King project.
Lame.
Yeah, he would have made a. I would just give me Nicolas Cage acting like that. Like, okay, give me that.
I
I,
think the
I was
Tiger King
interested there,
hype,
but it's
it
dead.
just died
Tiger King's
out.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after we thought for sure President Trump there. Ugh, I don't think president.
Pardon
He doesn't
him.
deserve president in front of his name, but Trump
Uh,
there was going to pardon him, and he had like a limo sitting out front and everything, and then he didn't get pardoned. And it was like, oh, so rest in peace, Tiger King. That was probably the last we'll hear of the Tiger King for a while. Uh, Nickelodeon has an All Star Brawl coming out, which is a new Smash Bros like fighting game. It's gonna have SpongeBob, Rugrats, the Ninja Turtles, Ren and Stimpy,
I
Nigel
love Ren and
Thornberry. Like
Stimpy.
it's just a Nickelodeon fighting game, like when in the vein of Smash Bros. So I'm pretty excited for that personally, as somebody who loves Smash Bros.
I just want to hear Stimpy, you
Or just
idiot.
Nigel Thornberry out there. Just I'm Nigel Thornberry. Bam. I don't. I just love all those. So that's gonna be exciting. That's gonna be coming out. Kevin Feige has confirmed that the goddess Catherine Hahn will be coming back as Agatha Harkness. I think we all kind of had a feeling after she erased her
Hmm.
memory,
She
but
was too good
with all
not
the
to.
multiverse stuff coming on, she's probably going to come back. And I got a feeling that she might appear in Doctor Strange too, is my personal theories. But I'm excited to see more Catherine Hahn in anything because she is amazing in everything that she does. So give me more of that.
Yes, she really is. Bad Mom,
She's
Step
amazing. I
Brothers.
forgot she
She's
was in Step Brothers for the longest time too, but like I just the scene that always comes to mind where she just walks into the urinal and after she goes there with Dale and then she pees in the urinal and she's like stay golden pony boy and I would never realize that was her for the longest time, but it is. And God, she's
was
great.
it the goods she was like hitting on the
Yeah.
10-year-old that looked 40?
It's ridiculous. But speaking of WandaVision, they actually received 23 Emmy nods. They received for limited series, direction for limited series, writing, lead actor, and Paul Bettany. They lead actress with Elizabeth Olsen, supporting actress again Catherine Hahn, and there's a few others, but they killed the Emmy nominations. It's kind of cool seeing now we get comic book movies that are be getting
Hmm.
recognized by this stuff because you see like This Is Us, Lovecraft Country, which I haven't watched, but I heard it's a really great series, but it was unfortunately canceled by HBO, which sucks.
Already? Wasn't it only one season?
It was one season. They felt like they didn't have anything more to tell. I haven't watched it yet personally. It's on my list
Mm,
because I've heard great things. So
same here.
I don't know. That's kind of unfortunate, but a really great list. And then also on that was Mando. So Mandalorian was nominated for directing for a drama, writing for a drama, supporting actor in a drama, which is oh God, I can't Giancarlo Esposito, guest actor, which is Carl Weathers, and then something I found funny about this was Gina, whatever the frick her name is, who cares? Was mad she didn't get.
Carino.
Yeah, she didn't get nominated. It's like you suck as an actress. You got to be good at your job. You don't just get
I thought she
nominated.
was fine in Mando. I know she's not a great person, but I didn't think that any of
She
her
just like wouldn't know. I don't know.
well, I didn't think anything she did was worthy
Agreed.
of
Although
extra
Don
recognition. She's
Cheadle, did you see Don Cheadle
I
got
did. What the
nominated for
hell was
his
that
30
about?
seconds in Falcon and Winter Soldier? Even
And
he was
he
like,
was
"Look, I don't understand
confused.
either." So maybe that's why she's mad. I don't know. It's kind of funny. And then two last bits of news. Twitter is shutting down their fleets starting August 3rd.
What does that mean?
It's basically like Instagram stories, but for Twitter, it never took off.
Twitter
I'm
has
guessing.
stories?
Yeah, I never use them. People do, I guess. I don't use them. Twitter's not for that. Instagram has stories. I don't know. They're shutting it down. Give me a damn edit button. That's all I ask for. And
Ah, yes, that would be nice.
God, because I mistype all the time. Me and my stupid fat big monsters hands. Um, and last but not least, Netflix is going to add video games to their streaming platform in 2022. I still want a PS5. I will get one eventually, but I remember
How'd you
back in the
put a
day.
wait,
Sorry.
how'd you put a Sega controller in the Google Docs?
Oh, I just copied and pasted.
That's
I don't know.
impressive.
That's cool. I don't
Okay.
know.
Back
Yeah.
in the
So
day?
back in the day, I got my video games either from Blockbuster or Netflix would send you like the one you can get one video game, one movie
Oh
kind of deals.
yeah.
So they're bringing video games back to Netflix. I'm interested to
Huh.
see. They're probably going to upcharge. I mean, Netflix is already what like $15. They're probably going to make it $20 to
No,
stream
is it
video
that much
games.
now?
I think so. I T-Mobile pays for mine, so I honestly don't
Same
know.
here.
I have no idea. So I expect an upcharge, and then I'm interested to see how it goes though. So if it's not an upcharge, yeah, I'll shoot. I'll play some video games through Netflix, and
How's that going to work though? You have to have the actual console or do you just
yeah,
have
oh yeah, you got to
controllers
have the
hooked up to your
console. Like
TV?
you got to probably
Okay.
like you got to have the console. You can't just
So
like
it'll be
get
like this one's for
Xbox
Sega or
X,
okay.
this one's for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, that kind of stuff. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know
But
much about
that's all I got
video
for my
games.
news.
Okay, so my news, actually, my first piece of news I stole from you. Thor is actually the one who voiced.
It's
You didn't say
Throg.
it. So Chris Hemsworth actually is actually the one that voiced Frog Thor. And some people were like, "Oh, that's stuff they pulled from other episodes," but no. Apparently, he went and filmed. I guess him going, "Ugh." I don't. I don't really know. But that was a really cool
I
Easter
don't
egg.
remember. Did Throg? Did he even speak? I don't remember that episode.
You heard him going, ugh, and like pushing up against the glass. So I didn't think he did anything, but I did see in
Oh,
an article. If it comes out that that was bullshit, we'll let you guys know. But yeah, I felt like they could have used something they already had, but apparently there's claims that that did not happen,
well, maybe they did.
that he
Oh,
actually came in and recorded. The short on Disney Plus, The Good, the Bart, and the Loki. So it was actually really cute, very short, just like the Star Wars one. Absolutely adorable. You see so many little cameos. And I posted something in the stories where somebody's holding up a sign that says, "This is what happens when Disney buys Marvel and Fox." um, so the guy who works has been working on The Simpsons for years. He said, "Hey, can we use a clip of Stanley's voice to use on this, and have Stanley make a cameo?" And Marvel said no because they're no longer doing Stanley cameos out of respect. And you saw there was none in Black Widow, which
yeah,
means the Phase 4 ad that made everyone cry will probably, or maybe just me
man, I
bawling a
still get
baby.
chills from that ad too.
Yeah, and well,
Every
and they
time I hear it,
started
man.
Black Widow in the theater with it, so it's like I took a picture and it had Groot in the background. I'm like, I hope nobody thinks Groot's in Black Widow because that
Real
was just
quick,
the
I'm so sorry. Something I didn't mention is I just want to point out that the Black Widow opening credit scene with once they kind of get going, probably one of my favorite Marvel opening credits.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I would love to. I want to go back and rewatch that because there was so much you didn't realize
Yeah,
why it was in there, like the pigs, until
and then
you
it makes
watch the
sense
movie.
later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just reminded. I meant to say it. I totally forgot. So
No, that was really good. Um, but I like the pictures. Like you see the one guy they say in Loki that this is Stanley. So I hope they do still do pictures and whatnot.
I
And
hope they do too in some
I think
capacity.
it's yeah, keep him alive. Obviously his legacy is going to be alive for God knows how long. But I get not wanting to pull voices and whatnot, and out of respect of the fact that he showed up and he did all these cameos in person, and now he can't do that.
Hmm.
But still give us pictures and whatnot. I mean, like he even makes a cameo on the Spider-Man ride at Islands of Adventures. Like he's driving a truck in it, and he's like,
Yeah,
oh, and like he even has a speaking role. So, and we all love seeing that. And my kids now get excited when they see Stanley.
he's a
Okay,
staple. Yeah, I mean that's what you kind of got used to. So I hope they do have pictures still.
So as of Saturday, the day after the Black Widow official release, it had made $80 million domestically, 78 million internationally, and another 60 million on Disney Plus.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I think
So I am
they're
glad
probably
though that it
not
did
going to
good.
do the streaming still. I think Shang-Chi probably will start back fully in theaters, but that 60 million's telling. That's a
Right.
lot of that's a lot of money at $30 a household. Like
That's
that's
a lot
just
of parents that couldn't get a sitter
that's what I'm
too.
saying. Like that's
Right.
$30, 60 million at $30 a pop. That's a lot of people who still saw that
Hmm.
movie. And that was my reason. I didn't have a babysitter, so we watched it.
Right.
So I
And if my
I
mom
think
hadn't
they got to
last minute
keep it.
taken the kids, I would have been
Yeah. I
at
hope
home
they keep that
watching it.
option because as you can see, 60 million, there's a market and you can
They're
still
called
push that out
parents.
there. Hell yeah.
Hmm. So Long Halloween Part 2, July 27th. Army of the Dead prequel is happening, Army of the Thieves.
We didn't
There
know
will
that.
be a panel at Comic Con. San Diego Comic Con is going on from July 21st to July 25th. There is no in person attendance. It will be an online event, and you
Oh,
can
Carrie's gonna
access the
be
whole
gone.
schedule
Can
on
we
their website. Well, then
can
you
we
better
watch
take
it?
lots of notes.
I was about to
Yeah.
say, are we able to watch it? Oh, hell yeah.
It looked
Carrie
like
is out
I
of
tried to
town,
get
so
more
I'm gonna
information from the website, but it looks like if you go to the website, you can access the things live.
well, I'm gonna be doing a lot of online media stuff for Comic Con July 21st to 25th.
There you go. It looks like they will be doing a live one in November. They're hoping it looks like Thanksgiving weekend. But I think they're California is still kind of playing that by ear.
Next year. We're going to San Diego Comic Con next year.
Oh my god,
I'm
that
getting us
is
press
on my
passes to that
fucking
one.
bucket list.
I'm getting
There's
us
so many
press
more
passes.
breweries I need to go to there too.
That's one
Okay,
of them.
Walking Dead season 11, which is also the final season, starts August
Oh my
22nd.
god, I thought it was over already.
LeBron James is coming to Fortnite. Jackass 4 is happening.
Yeah.
Jackass Forever comes out October 22nd. If you saw them on Shark Week, the one guy named Poopsies got
He got
bit
bit by the
and
shark.
he's
Yeah.
lucky. He's lucky that's all that happened. This motherfucker dove over a ramp into a pile of bull sharks, which are
Yeah.
the most dangerous shark in the ocean. And they like you see the underwater feed where he like falls in the water being a jackass and all these sharks like dart over there and that's all that happened was
Well,
he
he even admitted though, he's like, I was in their territory, so like I'm not mad at all. It was just nothing.
100%
So like
and they
he
were
yeah.
being jackasses.
Yeah, of course.
But
That's their thing.
it was it was still a cool episode to see Steve and everybody properly dive after that and not be idiots. um Superhero Diaries is a satirical superhero comedy web series. It is on YouTube. If anybody has heard of
Hmm.
that, season 2 is coming out on July 21st. I'm going to check that out because
Yeah.
it looks pretty interesting. And my last bit of news is Korg and Deadpool team up to review Ryan Reynolds and Taiki Waititi's new movie trailer for Free Guy.
So does that mean Deadpool is that his first team up in the MCU? Does that count to you?
I think so. Yes,
I think it does too.
100%. Mm-hmm.
I fully do. I know Taika Waititi, he's also in Free Guy as well, and he's was
Yeah.
also in Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. So they have history together. And so I'm counting it as Deadpool's introduction into the MCU, and like he was in a team up with Korg of all people.
You know
So
they had to get permission to do that.
this was a Disney. They pushed that. Yeah, they
And they
definitely
even
did.
made fun of Disney Plus on there. And how do I get on Disney Plus? And how do I do this? And he's like, oh, you just stop trying and it will happen.
Oh, that was like eventually
So,
you just
yeah,
give up your dreams, and then they contact your agent and say, "Hey, Marvel wants to talk."
right. Yes. So Deadpool is the first X-Men or X-Force or whatever, first Fox Marvel character to make its. Of course, he was the first one to cross streams. Of course.
Well, it was awesome. I look forward to. I just want kind of like Ryan Reynolds Deadpool to be pop up randomly and maybe give us some more of those reviews, reactions. So we'll see. That counts. Deadpool's in the MCU now, folks. Anything is possible.
Shoot, do,
And
do.
with that said,
Yep.
let's us get to our main topic. We're talking to Steve Urana. He is sorry, Steve, if I mispronounce your name again.
Urena.
No, he
Urena.
it's
You know, I phonetically pronounced it or phonetically wrote it too, and then
he
I
did. He
deleted it
deleted
when
it.
I
It's an A.
didn't
It's
know.
Urana. I'm telling you, it's Steve Urana. And we're gonna
Everyone's
talk
gonna find
about
out in 2
Slowpoke and
minutes.
Zombie Date Night. So take a look in the link for this episode. We're gonna be blasting out the Kickstarter. It's gonna go till the end of August. I backed it personally. So everybody, hey, check it out. Steve is a really, really great human being. He was so much fun to talk to, and
Yes,
we're
he
gonna have him on
was
future episodes. So with that said, thank
100%.
you for getting through this long portion. And without further ado, it's time for that main topic. Peace.
Cheers.
Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, we are here with a very special guest tonight. Steve Urena is with us. If I still mispronounce that, even though I asked him 2 seconds ago, I apologize. I am illiterate. So, how you doing tonight? Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. Pretty
Very
good.
good.
So, I'm not actually drinking beer tonight. Just because I've been on a hiatus trying to get my life together over here, man. I drank too much for the 4th of July weekend, which is right after what we're recording this right after. And I also have a basketball tournament coming up, so got to focus on that. However, I am drinking out of our fancy growler. It's water. That's all it is, just fancy water. But Lauren, what are you? Bless us with what you were drinking tonight.
Well, my life's already pretty together, so I am drinking
Is it
tonight.
though?
I'm actually drinking from one of our Hops News Patreons. I'm drinking a red ale homebrew from Patrick. He sent me 3 different homebrews, every single one super solid, super delicious. This man should open a brewery. I know that's easier said than done, but he definitely brews some great stuff. And he actually just said he's working on some other brews to be sending people because his friends and whatnot are actually giving requests on what they want because his homebrews are so good.
Damn,
So
Patrick,
that's what
when
I'm
you gonna
sipping
hook your
on.
boy up? When you gonna
I
hook your
know. Well,
boy
I
up?
got my little, whenever I drink a homebrew, I drink it in my mug that says drink art, make beer.
Yeah,
So
Patrick.
I'm
Hey, let's
drinking
get
Way
art
to
because
together.
go.
he
Let's
made
brew some
beer.
beer together, man.
So that's what I'm drinking.
Nice.
But I want to hear about what our guest is
Yeah,
drinking.
what are you drinking over there?
All right, I'm drinking. I listen. I don't drink often, but since I was coming on your show, I was like, you know what? I have to make sure that I have at least something to sip on while I'm talking comics with you guys. So I grabbed the twisted tea out of the fridge.
Nice.
So cheers to you. Cheers to thank you for having me on, and I'm excited to talk comics and everything else in between.
Oh, we're stoked, man.
Definitely.
Twisted Tea is a good one, and we were just talking about the video too before this, and Twisted Tea might be for one of your comics there. You know, Slowpoke. Twisted Tea might have been something that the teenagers could have used to fend off
That
that
is true.
that
Listen,
killer
if
sloth.
Twisted Tea is listening, I will gladly take their money for a sponsorship and Slowpoke, the official comic of Twisted Tea.
Hey,
I'm
Yes.
open.
it's justice
Yeah.
in a can.
100%. So we are here because we are talking a couple comics. You are a creator of comics. I have read Slowpoke, which is one of them. It's a sloth horror comic, and as soon as I saw that, I was all about it because I got a sloth tattooed on my leg. My
Really,
son's
that's
favorite
awesome.
animal.
That's awesome.
Like the first thing he ever showed interest was a sloth, and he has this flat. It's Flash. We call him Flash from Zootopia, but he carries this stuffed sloth with him, and he has for 5 years now. And so as soon as I saw like Killer Sloth, dude, I was in. I was sold. I bought the comic, and it did not disappoint at all.
Thank you.
What went into that? Like, what was the thought process there?
Well, after a few twisted teas, no, I'm only kidding. But Slowpokes, was a kind of my labor of love for horror. Like I love horror movies, and just going to the Blockbuster as a kid, you would see all these crazy horror movies. You'd see the art for it, and you'd be like, "What is this? What is this movie where there's a killer dentist? What is this movie where Ron Howard's brother is an ice cream man? Like, what is this?" So for years I've always wanted to dip into horror, and I always wanted to dip into comics. So we were making fun of the sci-fi movies that were coming out. So like the Sharknadoes, like Sharknado 5 or
Yes.
6, and like the
Sorry.
Mansquito, like things like that.
I watched
And
Killer Sofa like 2 weeks
Killer
ago.
Sofa, yes, I saw that
Killer
there was one.
soap.
I saw
Oh,
there's
it was
a killer llama one as
oh
well, which I need to
Lamageddon.
check out. Llamageddon. I always love that stuff. So I just joked with my friends. I was like, "Oh, what are they going to do next? Like fast killer sloths?" And like I always had that idea in my head, but I just didn't know where to put it or what to do with it. So when I started taking classes with Comics Experience, which is a online school for those who want to write comics or do something in comics.
Mm.
I was like, you know what? I want to workshop this. I'll go 20 pages. We'll see what people say. This will at least be something fun. If it works out, great. Or if something comes of it, cool. But if not, at least I'm having fun with it. So I wrote the story in the class, and it got good reviews in the class. And they asked me if I wanted to make it, and I was like, I'll put. You know what? Why not? The script is already done. Let's do it. And so far, so good. I did not expect it to get the reaction it did. I didn't expect anybody to read it. I thought some friends would read it or something, but now we're, that helped me fuel, zombie date night, taking that extra money that I made from the first Kickstarter and using it towards this one.
Right. So was Slowpoke like your first actual comic then?
Yes, that was my first comic, or creator-owned comic. There was a comic I wrote years ago. I was like 20, 21, and I used to be a journalist, so I was interviewing indie comic creators because I was like, oh, I'll interview any indie creator for $30 per article. Like, why not? So I met like a publisher, and they were like, oh, if you want to try one, go for it. So I wrote the first comic I actually wrote was about John Wayne. It was like one of those biography comics, and like looking back, it's probably not great, but for me, I was like, oh, I want to get my foot in the door. I'm still waiting on the check from that one, but it's okay.
I feel like I'm
It's one of those things where it'll be like an Easter egg later on, where it's like, oh, the Slowpokes guy did a John Wayne comic.
yeah.
But this was my first creator-owned comic, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy how awesome everybody has been about it.
Yeah, I definitely I'm kind of like following your career path almost. Not exactly, but we're not journalists. We talk and pretend we know what we're talking about.
Listen,
But
you guys are interviewing people. That's a journalist.
true,
So,
that is
and you're
that
doing
that
you're
is
doing what you
fair.
want to do.
It is fair, but I've always wanted to create comic books myself. I just had no idea where to start. So to kind of hear how you started, I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe eventually I'll get around to it myself. So
Listen, comics experience is super easy to be part of. At first, when you're looking for schools, everywhere it's art. Like if you have to be a good artist, you have to do this. And I can't I can't put pen to paper and make
me
any. I can make
neither.
stick figures. I can do that.
Yeah.
But so when I found comics experience, I was like, wait, they have writing, and you can learn about the writing process without worrying about the art. It was just awesome. I definitely recommend it to anybody who wants to pursue comics or pursue writing in comics because they'll teach you the right way how to do it.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to look
Now
into
you're
that.
mentioning, you just did the writing and not the drawing. And I always find that interesting because obviously when you're creating this, you have visuals in your head of
Yes,
how you want it to come out. So,
killer sloths. Yes,
I mean, I looked at some of that artwork. That artwork is phenomenal because the sloth looks so innocent and then he looks so evil, but also still innocent because it's a sloth.
yeah.
Um, so how does that work when you're coordinating with the artist? Do you basically just say, here's a story, go ahead and draw it? Or is it like a back and forth and planning each page?
Luckily for Slowpokes, it wasn't that bad. So again, I went through Comics Experience. They have their own creative services where you can, for a set amount of money, they'll find you the artist, they'll find you the inker, they'll find you everything you need and
Oh,
put it all
wow.
together. So taking the script, uh, just taking the descriptions and just making sure that I was as clear as I can be, just with each panel, each thing that was happening, especially with the kills, making sure that that's understood. But the artist that they paired me up with, Juan Romera, I think I don't think he speaks English. I think he speaks, I think he's Spanish. I think he's from like Brazil or something like that. And he was able to understand just based on, I guess Paul was working with him, who's like they kind of link up together, and like they'll explain stuff together. But it was easy. Like he really figured out what to do, and it was a very seamless process.
Nice. That's
Nice.
awesome.
So
I did have to say I have a friend who's super into sloth, so I told her earlier, like, oh, we're interviewing a guy who wrote a sloth comic, and she just starts sending me questions, and she doesn't read any comics, but she actually owns a replica of a giant sloth claw. So a lot of people don't
Awesome.
realize that sloths used to actually be giant. Like this claw is bigger than I am. I'll have to post it on Instagram.
So the funny thing about that is, in future slowpokes at some point, I do want to bring them in, the giant sloth from
Oh,
like the prehistoric
nice.
era. Yeah, and then because those things are scary. Like the slowpokes are scary, but those things, imagine like 9 feet tall sloths with giant claws. Like that's even scarier.
Well, I'm 5'5" and I can stand under this sloth
Oh,
claw giant thing. And she decorates it for like Christmas. She puts Christmas lights on
that's
it.
awesome though.
And
I
yeah,
you might have to send me some pictures of that. That
I
sounds
yeah, I can
cool.
definitely do that. She bid on it at like a museum auction. She loves buying random crap like that. If her husband was okay with it, okay with not having money is what I should say. She would have a lot more random crap like
So
that.
it's just claw, or is the rest of it?
It's just claw, well, replica, but
Oh,
like a
it's
lot
not.
of people think like, oh, it's just like they don't realize this was a life size
Yes,
prehistoric claw, but it's just a replica. They just think like, oh, it's a giant sloth claw. Like, no, this
that,
is
that's awesome. That's a
size
great
accurate.
souvenir. Um, I wish I could find something like that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I need to get my hands on your actual in-hand one and go over there and take a picture with it.
Yeah.
That'd be
No,
cool.
I have like,
I'll post it on all the Slowpoke stuff.
dude, I've got like 50 giant stuffed sloths that so you're right. I gotta get like a physical copy or take a picture somehow of this because I have the comic digitally, but man, I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned it.
That's the thing about sloths. Like everybody, I feel like everybody likes sloths because they're just so like chill. They're such chill animals. But like if you look at them, they always look like they're up to something. And like they were made with claws and everything. Like I have a theory that like, God or life or whatever made sloths slow for our own, like to keep us safe. You know what I mean? Or that they're like aliens. Like sloths came down and they were ready to like pounce on us, but like the atmosphere like
The
messed them up.
gravity's weighing them down and everything.
Yeah.
That's
I love
actually
those
that's
theories.
that would be a great like B horror movie kind of thing. Is like
Maybe this is the
take that
prequel.
idea, yeah, like the
Yeah, and they just
prequels.
don't care. They're like, oh, we're done. See
They
what the
come to
atmosphere is
Earth
weighing
and
down.
oh, that'd be rad. That would be.
Well,
I
in
will
real,
say, sloths like their teeth, like their mouths have so much bacteria that if you get bitten by a sloth, it's like almost guaranteed death because of all the bacteria. So
yeesh.
maybe you're onto something.
Sloth
It
facts,
is
man.
crazy how they actually move in real life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this leads us to your next comic that's kind of coming out there, Zombie Date Night. Tell us about that, kind of the what went into it, where you kind of get the thought process from, and dive into what it's about. Give us the overview.
Sure. So once Slowpokes the Kickstarter was done, I was like, all right, people don't hate this that much. So maybe I will maybe I will be able to do another one. Let's keep it going because like I love comics. I love writing them. So right after Slowpokes ended, I started writing Zombie Date Night, and that idea has always been in my head. So it's basically, what could make a first date even more awkward, and that's zombies, of course.
Oh yeah.
So Zombie Date Night tells a story of boy and girl match on a dating app. They meet up in person, and then they have to face a horde of zombies at this mall. So the idea came from my dating days back in the day, a few years ago, of just being on the apps and seeing how crazy people are and how it's scary like that. I feel like that's a very scary thing, and then if you add zombies, that's even more scary. And also, if you were in that situation, what would you do? Like if you were on a good date and zombies came, would you stick around or would you bail? Or if the date was going terrible, would you bail, even though there are zombies around? So I just wanted to kind of play with those ideas.
Huh. That's actually really, you're right. There are like dating sites. Geez, that is all sorts of craziness. And then throw in the awkwardness of first dates, because I remember going on some first dates to those way back when I was in Florida, and like throwing that awkwardness mixed in with like having to kill zombies, like that's a true test. If you make it through that,
Yeah,
is
if you
it
make it
like
past that,
love
I
by
feel like you could
proxy
make
or
it through anything.
You're
But
really bonded
yeah,
then.
yeah, you are bonded by these zombies. But I just remember on the apps, like I remember there was one profile that always made me laugh. It was like, 26, baby mama, Slytherin. I was like, man, these are very three specific categories.
if
Like
you're
I
below
always
this,
remember that. I was
this
just like, man, I roll with Hufflepuff. Like, come on.
hey, my man, Hufflepuff, hell yeah, that's the house I got put in back on Pottermore.
Hey, me too. I'm a
Hey, look at
Hufflepuff. Well,
that.
I'm a Muggle, but I'm a Hufflepuff.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
My kids made me take the test.
That's awesome.
So you have a Kickstarter out now, and I saw last I looked was that over? It was like $4,400 for the Kickstarter, or was
Yeah,
that
so it was funded fairly recent. I think it took 2 weeks to fund, which is really cool because I used a lot of the
you
money.
made that in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Oh
from
my
this.
god, that's
Yeah, I
amazing.
was
That's
very
really
lucky,
incredible for a Kickstarter for a small indie comic. That's really cool.
especially for that. And people. This is a completely different audience than Slowpokes. I thought, of course, there are people that came over and they're like, oh, I like Slowpokes, I want to get this one. But this one has a lot more people that I don't know. Like maybe they were interested in the zombies. Maybe they're interested in the grandma character I had that was killing zombies with the chancleta. Maybe that.
Oh my gosh, now I really want to read this. I grew
I
up in
know.
South Florida. You run my dance instructor threw a chancleta at us many a time.
I feel like that's another thing too. Like people can relate to that. Like people always had a grandma, whether, for me, I come from a Hispanic background, whether Hispanic or I think any background, like the grandma always used the chancleta to beat you up. Like, you know what I mean? Like she wouldn't use her hands.
No.
She'd hit you with that chancleta.
And you, as soon as she reaches for her foot, you duck. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
Oh
know.
yeah.
It's like a boomerang.
So I actually saw a meme recently, and it was this flip flop, and it had a bunch of colored stones on it, and it said Infinity Chancleta, and then you saw a picture of a kid disappearing.
That's awesome. So in Zombie Date Night, the grandma has a chancleta with nails in it.
Why
To
is
beat up
that
the
not in The
zombies.
Walking Dead? That's why people aren't watching The Walking Dead
We
anymore.
don't get stuff
There's
like
less
that.
chancletas. So good, Robert Kirkman, if you're listening to this, zombie grandma or grandma with chancleta.
We
fighting.
got
There you
this
go.
man. He's got some good ideas. You should probably listen.
Maybe it'll be in the Rick Grimes movie. We'll see.
Maybe imagine that. Imagine I'm seeing this Rick Grimes movie and it's just like
Oh man.
somebody saves him and it's a grandma with a chancleta. It's like, no, wait, that's
He's
my
You
standing
idea.
better
on the
copyright that
rooftop
now.
with a sax. Oh my god.
So,
that'd be
I want to ask some origination questions or your origin story, basically,
Absolutely.
as far as comics. So, my first question is Marvel or DC?
Uh, that's a hard one. So as a kid growing up, I always loved Spider-Man, but like as a kid growing up, I think DC more than Marvel at the time. But now it's just like it depends on who it is. Like I loved Green Lantern growing up, but Spider-Man's my guy. But I like it's funny, like, and this is a bad take, and like I don't want to get any hate for this, but like as a kid, the Avengers, I never liked them as a thing until the movies came out and I got to understand them a lot better. But like
Hmm.
I never related to them. I felt like I related to Spider-Man because he was like a kid
Younger.
in the city. And like I felt like Peter Parker is like honorary Puerto Rican because like he was always at like the bodegas, like he was always hanging out with like multicultural people. So like I always related to him with that. And then like Green Lantern, I always loved Kyle Rayner more than Hal Jordan, just because he looked kind of like me or he had like the same hair as me, I guess, as a kid. And I always related to those kind of characters. But now that I'm older, going through like Marvel Unlimited and like DC Universe, there's so much good stuff that I missed, and I'm just kind of catching up on now.
Oh yeah, there is, and sometimes it can be kind of daunting. Like I think the one good thing about DC, in my opinion, is they always kind of like refresh and reboot every so often, whereas
Mhm.
Marvel, they are more one continuous kind of storyline in some ways, and they do a lot of callbacks to previous storylines, so that can be kind of overwhelming. But
Yeah, and
I
that's
agree
that's
too.
a tough thing about comics is there's so many of them, and then it's just like where do
Hmm.
I start? Where do I begin?
Yeah.
It's like there's spectacular Spider-Man and there's nonstop Spider-Man, amazing Spider-Man, and Miles Morales Spider-Man. Like I was like, I don't know if I have time for this for all
Yeah, oh
this. Like
yeah,
I
Yeah.
need to go on like a just an event or like a storyline and just kind of follow it that way. But big ups to all the comic people who follow everything. Like that's a very daunting task, and that's pretty cool.
Well, for me, like I didn't get into it as an adult, so it was like I really needed to feel comfortable with like the guy at the comic book store to ask him a million questions and get the recommendations. And now it's to the point to where I'll go in and they'll be like, like Nocturna just came out and they're like, "Oh, you're going to like this. I went ahead and put it in your box. Let me know if you want to keep it in there." And it's got issue 5 today. It's been an amazing comic. So I always encourage people because the first time I walked into a comic book store, I felt so awkward. I was like, I'm going to Barnes and Noble. I'm going to go buy because I wanted to read about Wolverine. I'm going to go
Yeah.
buy that, Barnes and Noble book about Wolverine and catch up. And I rated my brother-in-law's collection, but you really just got to go in there and ask them a million questions in there. Yeah, because you can't read everything unless that's your job, which would be
yeah.
lovely.
I would
Would
love
be
that.
lovely, but that's
Yeah.
not the case.
So
Uh,
you've obviously always been into it then, even when you were little.
yeah. So as a kid, I just I was always attracted to like the costuming and like this larger than life characters and the fact that like they can exist in this world and like doing the right thing. So I just always liked that. When I was a kid, I was sick in the hospital. My dad brought me a big stack of comics, and I feel like it's just like a labor of love. My dad would wanted me to be okay, and like these things, these comic books are kind of comfort. So that always brought me comfort in reading stories and storytelling. Like I'm always into anything as long as it's a good story. Like it could be,
Right.
I'm good with whatever. So
So what
it's nice to see that in this current world, like there's an app you could just be like, oh, I'll check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the feel in your hands though. I love like I will
I
read
do
them
too.
online, but
Yeah, but
there's something
it's just
special.
nice to like just be able to, if I'm going somewhere, it's just kind of like it's convenient.
Yeah, they don't
Well,
get
and it's
crinkled up in
cheaper
my
And it's cheap.
backpack when I'm
Yeah,
flying,
because that
or
three
they
ninety
save
nine
space.
adds up real
yeah,
quick.
Yeah,
it
It's
does.
I'm
like
more
how
worried
did
about saving space in the house. I got to move this stuff.
Yeah, well, you're in the military. You move a lot.
Yeah, so I gotta worry about moving. But my collect, like, geez, my wife just came home
So
with
who are your
$50
guys?
scholarship.
Who are your favorites? I guess currently, or who are some superheroes who always like stick around?
Hey, we're asking the questions here,
Wolverine.
All right,
buddy.
I'm flipping
Just
it.
kidding.
I'm flipping it on you.
They know, yeah. The people who listen regularly know. It's actually in our logo. I'm Wolverine and he's Reverse Flash.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So Flash has always been kind of my favorite he was like him and Batman because they were the two that I kind of started reading when I first got into comics as a teenager. Flash, just the man has been beaten down all throughout life, and to continuously just come back from how he is and stay optimistic and really stay determined. Like,
And I think that's what makes good characters, especially in comics, or keeps you coming back, is the vulnerability. Because
yeah,
if you have a superhero that just shrugs everything off, like that, that gets old after a while. So, like,
That's
I
a
think,
villain.
yeah, it is
yeah,
a villain.
yeah. I mean, he does, and he's a lot. And then Batman also, like, he's very complex
Yeah,
as a human being character. He's an interesting, and his rogue gallery is one of some of like the best in all of comic books, in my opinion. Just
yeah.
and then I love Aquaman. And then as far as Marvel goes, I didn't really get into Marvel until the movies started coming out. So
Mhm.
Ant-Man and Iron Man are kind of my two Marvel guys that I love. But I'm reading. I mean, I'm reading them all. I'm kind of going like you. I'm kind of catching back up, going through
Yeah.
and reading, and just I love
With
picking up
Batman,
comics.
though, I've always wanted, like, they have these movies where there's a million villains or whatever. Where's my Mr. Scarface movie? Like, come on, that
Oh
guy,
yeah,
like, that would
dude.
be so cool. Like, same with Clayface. Like, I'd go Clayface and Mr. Scarface.
And like
That's
The
been
two
DC's
yeah,
problem is they don't dig deep into the vault. They just keep picking from the top.
you know what the people want? Another Joker.
Yeah.
I am
There's enough
excited.
Joker.
I am excited with the new Batman movie coming out that they are going to showcase a Riddler, and I think Riddler is somebody that could be done really dark and creepy, and that's what they're kind of going for. So I'm excited for that.
I liked the Gotham Riddler. I thought that he did a
Never
good
watched the
job.
show. Just couldn't get into the show.
I never finished the show though. I probably should finish it. It was a good show. It had ups and downs like any of these, long TV shows on, CW or Fox or whatever.
A lot of the Flash
Um,
show is pretty good too, I would say.
yeah. I'm behind on Flash at the moment, but
Same.
yeah, like Flash and Arrow, they're consistent. Well, they're ups and downs, but they have more ups than downs.
Yes,
Eh,
I would agree.
I mean, they got to fill 20 to CW, so it's
Yeah.
the
20,
problem is the
episodes a year.
23 episodes. If they did it like 12, 13, that's what I've always kind of like go to 12,
Right.
Yeah,
13
they don't
episodes.
need like 40. I would agree.
No,
Also, like, I'm sure as you're watching, like, you're going in and out, like Grant Justin is just super old now. Like, imagine he's
Oh,
like 55. Like, I've been on this show for 20 years. Speed Force hasn't been
Ah.
good to me.
But see, I didn't, like I said, I didn't get into it till I was older. So it's like I kind of jumped on a bandwagon a little bit. Like I remember going to the theaters and seeing X-Men
Mhm.
and, Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker, and asking my like one friend that read comics more about the origin. I wanted to know the background. I wanted to know more. And Hugh Jackman, I just, fell in love with.
Who
So
hasn't?
that's, I know, right? Yeah. I mean, I even named my kid Logan. But what's funny though is that's how I got into comics, but I read more independent comics than anything. So that's actually my next question for you. Cause like I've read The Walking Dead, Oblivion Song is one of my favorites. Invincible's been fantastic. The Boys, those are all ones that I really love. And Noctera is a great one that is still new that I highly recommend.
Cool.
So what's your favorite independent comic?
That's a tough one.
Well, like you said, we are journalists. We ask the
Yes,
hard hitting questions.
that is the hard hitting question. I guess would Preacher count? So Preacher,
Mhm.
oh yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
Preacher is my all time, like, one of my favorite comics of all time. Like, I read all of them. I just love that. I kind of try to pattern my style after like Garth Ennis, where it's like you don't know what's coming. Like, I'm trying to at least cultivate that. Whether it works or doesn't, who knows? But like, I love his style because it's so gritty, but it's
Mhm.
also like it'll keep you guessing. Like, you read it and be like, you can't figure out what's happening until you get
Right.
through it, because his stuff is so, like, it'll catch you off guard, but it'll keep you entertained.
And then you start laughing and you're grossed out at the same time.
Yes, and that's the plan for anything I read.
Well, I haven't read Preacher. I've read all of the boys, but I started Preacher the show. Did you watch all of the show?
Yes, during the pandemic, that was always on my list, and I was like, all right, now is the time to go through my Netflix, my Netflix picks, and take a look. And me and my dad watched the whole thing of Preacher, and it was very entertaining. It was very, like, true to the comic, which is awesome. And it didn't let you down. Like, there was a lot that was going on, but like all the characters were the characters, like, from the book, and it just felt right.
Okay, that was going to be my next question was how did it hold up? Because I
That's what my
haven't
wife
finished the
said,
show yet.
'cause she was big into the comics as well, and we watched the show. She agreed as far as comic characters. Seth Rogen, I trust him with all
Same.
that
He
kind of
he
stuff.
wants to
He did
make
a
a
great
good
job.
thing. You know what I mean? And also to go along with that, I guess two opposite sides of the spectrum of indie comics, Preacher, and I always loved the Bone growing up
Oh, I've heard
because
of
Oh, I don't
that,
know
but I've
that
never
one.
read it.
the
I've heard of it,
Bone
just never
Bone
read
was
it.
like it's about like these, I guess they're like skeleton creatures. I don't know if they're skeleton creatures, but it's like a cute like kids type of cartoon. Like
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
it's very different than than
Then Preacher.
Preacher. And just like growing up, I kind of think that was the first independent comic I was kind of exposed to because it was in like Disney Adventure, which was like a
Ah.
magazine. And so that I was like, oh, what is this? This looks completely different than say like the superhero stuff. And
Oh yeah,
just
I
told a
do
different
remember this as a
story.
kid.
Yeah.
I just looked it up. Yeah, this does look vaguely familiar to me.
And I think they're making either a Netflix show or a movie or
Oh,
something based on it.
nice.
And I'm very excited because like it hasn't been brought up in so long. Like I'm just like, I feel like
Making
this
a
is gonna be
comeback,
a very
yeah.
cool thing. Yeah. I also like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So I guess
Dude.
Ah.
so I guess like
Yes.
three sides of my childhood, my teenage years, and like my college years are these three comics. So Scott Pilgrim versus the World it was definitely another one.
I read that entire run and then the movie, man, that is like that movie even still it's in my top 3 movies of all time and I love Scott Pilgrim so much. I'm so glad you mentioned that one. I have
Yeah.
such a deep love for
Because just
that.
blending video games and like dating life and comics into one, it's just like, oh, this is everything that I need right now at
No,
the time.
there's like no clear like everybody's kind of a bad guy in a way too, but it makes them all human. Like there's
Yeah,
for the most part, like Scott's very flawed, Ramona's very
of course.
flawed, all that stuff. So man, I'm gonna save some more of that for when we do a Scott Pilgrim episode finally, but
Yeah, he's been talking about doing that for a little bit.
long time.
Yes, that's a good one.
Very, very long time.
So back to zombie date night. So what got you into are you into zombies, or was it just like you had explained before, like, oh, this will just make a date more awkward or more fun or more memorable?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen like every zombie movie and like I've always been into zombies, but like it's one of those things where you don't realize that you are until you're like, oh, I've kind of seen all these, or I've been to the movies, or I kind of love the zombie genre. But I never thought like with these comics, I never thought that like any of this stuff was going to happen. Like if I told my kid self that the first comic you make is about like fast killer sloths, I would have been like, you're crazy. Like, that's not real. Um,
Right.
so with Zombie Date Night, I just feel like I want to create situations where it's like a story, but then you add something like a monster or something like that, just to kind of like, uh, you know, without it, it would still be a good story. But like if you add this thing, then it's more fun.
Right.
Like I always loved the zombie genre. I never thought I would write into it, but I think zombies are kind of making a comeback now. Like with The Walking Dead and stuff like that. Like it had its time, but now I feel like this year we've seen a lot more zombie projects. We've seen Army of the Dead came out on Netflix.
Oh
New
yeah.
Resident Evil came out this year. There's a new Left 4 Dead video game. There's like other zombie movies coming out. So I think I came back. I think writing the zombie thing for now, it came at the right time, and I felt
Hmm.
that like it clicked very well with the story I was trying to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you said Walking Dead had their time. They still have another season to go.
I hear
Nobody
that it's like on
watches anymore
season like
though.
10 or
Nobody
whatever, and
I think season 11 they must have just finished 10. I'm not caught up, but I
I
think
hope
they're doing an 11 and that'll be the last one.
I hope with like the new wave zombies though, we kind of
I
I
want to
want
see
to
something different in the zombie genre, and like at
yeah.
least with Zombie Date Night, I'm hoping that I did something new. There's like a little surprise at the end, so hopefully we'll see what happens. But I think everything should move forward, or everything should have like a new twist on it, especially. So I'm hoping,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it starts that because the Army of the Dead was very cool. I thought, these new video games that are coming out, Resident Evil Village, still, Resident Evil, the fact that it's still around, and I'm like
Mhm.
32 now.
Yeah.
You got to keep reinventing the wheel. You got to keep doing something different.
Right.
So I want to make sure that it's fresh. No
Well,
pun
you
intended.
mentioned all the horror movies you would watch, find at Blockbuster and whatnot. Was there anything specific that stuck out to you that you've drawn inspiration from, or was it just like a collective of just loving that
I would
genre?
say a collective. Like I love Shaun of the Dead. That's a great one. This one, since this is my second comic. I'm also a big like Kevin Smith fan. So I
Hey,
Yo,
wanted
you
to make
fit
sure
right in
that
on this podcast. So if you ever need
we
need something
did
else
a
to do, like
two Kevin Smith episodes
that's
actually.
awesome. I love that. And like I thought I was like, all right, since this is my second one, this is basically my Mallrats. hopefully it's better than Mallrats, because I thought Mallrats was just okay compared to some of the other ones.
I
But
loved Mallrats.
I like Mallrats too, but like Clerk, you got Clerks in between it. You got Chasing Amy in between it. I feel like they had something. They just needed something a little bit more for Mallrats. And so I was very excited when they announced that they were going to do a second one, or they were going to try to do a show.
Yeah.
So, but I love Kevin Smith, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of paid homage to the things I love. So like Dawn of the Dead, like I really like, and that was in the mall. So I definitely borrowed some stuff from the zombie genre while trying to, I guess, inject my own flavor as well.
For sure. And I hope that they focus more. I would love to see them more focused on just straight like human survival against zombies rather than like, because it gets kind of tired when they just zombies make an appearance in something rather than like the sole focus. Like we're in a zombie apocalypse, yet we're more worried about human versus human when there's like millions of zombies. So I'm hoping
Yep.
personally that's the kind of trend we get back to.
Yeah, I'm open to new zombie stories. I want to see like a zombie like short film festival where people can kind of go and put their own take on a zombie film. I feel like that would be so cool. I mean, I guess if I had the money, maybe I would do that for Zombie
Yeah,
Date Night.
right.
But like, I just feel like that would be so cool just to have, people enter their zombie, whatever it just that's the criteria. It's like make me a 15-minute zombie movie and send it in.
That'd be sick. That'd be really sick. Let's
Do
start
like
this
a zombie
festival.
cooking show
Yeah,
and zombie
exactly.
sports,
Zombie sports would be great.
zombie dating show.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which maybe I'll sell Zombie Date Night to Fox, and maybe they'll make like a new Bachelor.
There you go.
I mean, they got some weird. They got like some Netflix show where they like dress up. They do all sorts of
Yes,
makeup and things with
I
them
thought I
now.
thought
So
I love that idea. It's so like I love trash TV, and that is
oh
definitely
man, me
trash
too.
TV.
What
But
is it? They dress people up?
Yeah,
yeah,
they like
they put like
prosthetics.
prosthetics, and they look like aliens or whatever, and they see if like Love Is Blind, like it's a literal blind
Oh
thing.
my
Like,
gosh.
they're in these costumes, and they see if they can spark a relationship
Yeah.
out of their inner beauty rather than their outer beauty. So I'm very I'm all for it.
Look, I'll try it.
Interesting.
I haven't watched it yet, but I like trash TV myself.
But the fact that they're going to the limit of just like getting these people in the prosthetic, because that takes hours.
It's
Like, you know what I
definitely
mean?
gonna
Like, it's
take
not like a
hours. Like
mask.
that's
It's like the whole
commitment.
deal. Put feathers on people. Like, oh man, if you're gonna go in, you got to go all in.
Yeah, no doubt.
Interesting.
Well, Steve, we really appreciated having you on tonight. It was such an honor getting to talk to you. You're somebody who you share a lot of our interests too. So welcome, come back
Awesome.
anytime. You certainly
Listen,
want.
I'm here for you guys. I put the time in. I'm ask me anything. I'm all here for you guys. I'm happy to talk comics, whatever you want to do.
Absolutely. Well, we're gonna have you back on. We're gonna maybe we'll have to plan like a good time to have you back on, and
Cool.
yeah, we'll shoot some more.
Maybe the Scott Pilgrim episode.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Where can everybody kind of find you as far as whether it's the Kickstarter for the comic books, whether it's your social medias? Plug away. Let us know where everyone can find you at.
Sure. So for people who want to get in touch with me, find me on Twitter at the Steve Urena, Urena, and Instagram, also same handle. If you want to follow my comics, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Slowpokes Comic or Zombie Date Night.
Nice.
And for the Kickstarter, just type in Zombie Date Night for the current Kickstarter going on right now. And, we're going on until the end of August. And every Thursday, for Zombie Date Night, we're doing Zombie Date Night Thursdays, where we're watching a different zombie movie every night, every Thursday, 8:30 Eastern on Discord. So I'm inviting everybody. You don't even have to back the comic. If you want to watch a zombie movie with us, come on in. Everybody is welcome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. DM us that link because I might have to get in on that. That
Sure.
sounds like
Tomorrow,
a lot of fun.
or well, I guess this will happen in the past, but tomorrow we are watching. Here, let me get the name of it so I don't butcher this. We are watching a Mexican zombie movie called Ladrones de Almas. So each week is a different one. We did Zombieland the first week. We did Alive, the South Korean zombie movie last week.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to be running that until the end of the Kickstarter.
Nice. Yeah,
That's
I would
awesome.
absolutely love to get in on that. On any
Well,
Thursday.
all are welcome. Come on in.
Yeah, we'll
water's
share it
fine.
out.
The dead water is fine.
Nice. That sounds awesome, man. Well, thank you again for agreeing and coming on with us and sharing
Yeah,
it.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate that.
cheers, man. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Back to
Cheers.
Kickstarter. Get the comics. I'm showing you my water bottle because I'm drinking water this week. But rest assured, next week I will be back with some beers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.